We hadn't talked about it earlier this morning. You've seen it on screen. It's on the coffee mugs. It's on the banners. We just want to highlight to you, in case you've missed it, we have actually freshened the Federation logo. And you see now the new version, if you like, on the logo. It's not that different from the old logo, but it is totally refreshed. As you see, it's got a steering wheel in there now to give it all a bit of relevance. It's not a discussion item, to be candid. We're not going to do this by vote. It's done. It's on screen. It's on the shirts. It's on your mugs. But we've done it. But I just want to give you some background. Sorry, Chris. One of the interesting things in this is the colour. And I want you to know that certain associations that the president have with a certain brand have nothing to do with this colour. This colour, this was, what's the name of it, Michael? Pantone, right? This is a Pantone colour called, is it classic blue or enduring blue?
No, it's classic blue.
Classic blue in the Pantone.
It was a 220 colour of the year.
Yep, that's what, I've got the notes in front. Listen to this, everyone. For 2020, Pantone's colour of the year was Pantone, whatever it is, 19 bar 4052 classic blue. A timeless and enduring blue hue, elegant in its simplicity and associated with colour, confidence and connection. And in their words, they went on, introducing classic blue. It instills calm, confidence and connection. This enduring blue highlights, this enduring blue highlights our desire for a dependable and stable foundation on which to build as we cross the threshold into a new era. Now, I didn't make that up. You know, I'm a bit of an advertising and marketing guy, but I could never do it that good. But that's Pantone's words for what this colour means. So I just want you to accept it, love it, use it, and that's the background. Have I covered it well, Michael? Is that all right?
That'll do.
Okay. Now, to even... Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Michael was the one that fired us up to get the new logo done, because in turn we were planning, as I say, shirts and mugs and so on. On a similar note of not quite as much humour, but certainly relevant to all of us, if you may now, as we start the formal part of the AGM, I would now just like to read you the President's report for this AGM for the year of 2024-25, and it contains, as you will see, a few words for the year ahead. And you will all get copies of this, but you haven't seen this yet, but it will all be published and copied and out to you, I guess, Chris, by Monday. Okay.
Which year or which week?
They've got a copy of the President's report.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes.
It's on the desks now. Yes. Sorry, it hasn't gone out. But in the formality of the AGM, I do want to read it because I want to emphasise a few points as I do so. It's a privilege to present this President's report on the occasion of the Federation's 30th anniversary AGM, and I want to emphasise that I'm particularly mindful of and humbled by the 30-year history of the Federation. In this report, I'll recap on our year of 24-25 and highlight our priorities for the year ahead, and I'll use this important occasion to share some personal thoughts regarding the Federation's future in the challenging times that we all face. In my previous President's report last year and the associated workshop Strengthening the Federation's Future that was part of that 2024 AGM, we touched on 6 core strategic objectives and work plans, and these are listed in random sequence. Increase funding via subscriptions, protect and celebrate our heritage, plan and implement an effective and affordable operating structure and process for the Federation, make progress on possible benefits and rewards programs for individual members of the Federation's clubs, and share and leverage the findings of the Historic and Classic Vehicle Research Survey. That's the stuff we talked about in workshop and accepted as an executive after last year's AGM. I've considered our performance on each of these, and in my personal judgment, this is not an executive call, in my personal judgment, I rate our achievements as directionally correct, but overall less than a pass mark. Yes, we've made great progress regarding annual warrants of fitness, still not a done deal, and we've made limited progress restoring our finances. We've submitted a good discussion document to the Minister of Heritage, Arts and Culture. I'll talk about that a little later on. But there's still a number of other areas that we haven't progressed due to other tasks that have absorbed our efforts, including finalising our new constitution, time spent chasing up overdue club subs from a number of clubs, planning for our two-day 30th AGM, the one we're at now. So as I said, in my heart, in my judgment, directionally correct where we're going, but 5 out of 10 is an actual score. And so the year ahead and beginning our next 30 years. Writing this report, as I had to do, ahead of this AGM, and subject to any further input and direction that the AGM gives us as an executive, I see the year ahead, 2025-26, as a year of reset for, I guess, the executive, but probably for all of us, with the objective of delivering on those same, particularly 6 key action plans and the targets that we set a year ago, but with maybe some added emphasis and more action on some of those objectives. So what are those objectives for the year ahead? To continue to increase our funding base, you heard Claude talk about that today, beyond the subscription from clubs into other new initiatives beyond our traditional foundation. Secondly, undertake specific actions focused on trade and skills training and personal development, maybe, for employees across the trades and the businesses that support, all of us. And you saw one of those businesses yesterday in Auto Restorations. Develop and implement effective and affordable operating processes within the Federation, and especially within the executive, and the need for increased levels of nomination and elected appointments. That's one of my hobby horses. Get more people involved, getting elected into the executive. Engage with government on the proud history and heritage contribution that our sector represents and push for their support. That's been on our agenda now for 5 or 6 years, but we haven't yet made a lot of progress. With regard to the year ahead, I also see 2 additional and critical priorities. Firstly, this is again my view, it's not necessary. I think that the executive supported, but I'm putting it here, I guess, as a presidential view. I believe we need to work together, executive and clubs, to urgently review and improve where necessary the capability and the processes by which each of our clubs communicate directly with their members. Why is this important, you might say? What's this got to do with the executive? Our ability to mobilise the strength that the Federation represents and the opportunity for national sponsors like Car Watch and others that will be coming on board and suppliers to implement benefits for all of those members, the 150,000 members, and to the Federation, because we get a kick in there as well, rests solely on the processes that our clubs have to communicate to their members, with each and every one of those members on a timely and efficient basis. As an example of that, if we were to go to a fuel company and say, here we are, 150,000 members, we want to set up this deal for whatever it is, 10 cents a litre or whatever it is, any time of the day, anywhere across the country, for a Federation member. and it's possible to do this, and if you're an MCA member, you know you've got it already with a certain fuel company, and at the same time with that fuel company, get them to put another 2 cents of revenue back directly to the Federation to build our operating budget, and that's how the MCA model works. We can't sell that to that fuel company until we know that every club can communicate that message, and might be the card that goes with it or the code that goes with it, whatever, to every one of their members on a timely basis. And right now, all cards on the table, I think we've got a variety of different systems across the country and across different clubs of how we communicate. That's the point that I'm making in that point. The test of this I give you is that if we were to survey today all 150,000 of our members and ask them if they receive their personal copy of the Wheel Talk magazine that we send out, does every 150 member of that 150,000 base, do they receive it within, whatever you like, within a week of when we send it to the club? And if it's less than 95% of the members get it within a week from their club secretary, if they don't get it that quickly, we've got a problem, because that just says we're not communicating as effectively as we should. Secondly, I think we need to kickstart, my words here, we will kickstart our thinking and our early work on what the collectible economy requires of our federation. And you've heard, you can see how this all ties together. You've had Claude this morning entertain you, inform you, educate all of us. We all now need to think about where we take all the messages that were contained in that collectible economy presentation, and the role that we need to play to pick up on those challenges that Claude shared with us. So the challenge is to identify what we need to achieve. Quite simply and equally frankly, our future collectively, clubs, discussion I had with a little group, no names mentioned, over lunch about small club, struggling for membership, struggling to hold membership, not a well-known brand. Where does our future lie? I believe our future collectively on all of those scales, it rests, add to that, it's also including the investment we have, what we own, our future, all of those things. It rests on what we start doing in the next 12 months to embrace, in the widest sense, the collectible economy. As you know, it's a big road trip, if I can use that analogy, but one that if we do it right, Claude started us off today, the destination that we'll get to will make our efforts seem minuscule. Conversely, if we do nothing, and as AI and other things start to accelerate around us, we actually as a society, let alone as a federation, commence potentially a journey of decline on all fronts as society, economics, technologies and generations change and move away in different directions. As we move forward, let me say my sincere thanks to our executive committee and our advisors, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the re-election or reappointment of those very shortly. But in special mention I want to make is of a retiring member of our executive committee itself, which is Warren Patterson. Warren, where are you? Can I just get you to come forward, please, Warren? You've served the executive so well on all fronts. He wears the NZHRA hat, but he served the executive on a wide range of different ways since 2021. And we just want to say, Warren, thank you. Best wishes. I understand this could be one of your favourite tipples.
You're not wrong.
Thank you. Thank you. Conversely, we welcome through this AGM Chris Hogg to our executive. He's been with us now for 9 months, 10 months, something like that, as an advisor. It was the way we got him involved. As from this AGM in 30 minutes time or whatever it is, he'll be an appointed full member of the executive. And I want to thank you again for the time you put in as an advisor and the contribution that you've helped us make. I also record my sincere thanks and appreciation to every one of you as Federation clubs in the room and across New Zealand. And as I wrap this up, I just want to say that one of the personal highlights and all the things we've been trying to do and the progress we're trying to be making, and whatever I said before, 5 out of 10 scores, one of the personal highlights for me has been no less than 7 speaking and social occasions with clubs from Auckland to Invercargill over the last year. And doesn't matter what else is going on and all the other challenges, nothing matches getting together around cars, sniffing petrol, and sharing stories and having great fun and sharing the passion. Thank you all. So, unless there's any specifically burning questions, it's all pretty straightforward, I think. Can I ask, maybe, is there someone who will move the acceptance of the President's report?
You move it, I'll second it.
I'll move it.
Name?
Gordon Alexander.
Gordon, thank you, Gordon. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you all. I'm looking forward to the next 12 months. Now, we now move to the Secretary's report, so over to Chris.
Okay, first off, if I hear any snoring, then you get to clean up afterwards. Okay, how many people knew that Gary was a petrol sniffer? Okay, so this is my 6th report as Secretary of New Zealand Federation Motoring Clubs. These secretarial offices again run smoothly this year. All but one of the executive meetings were again held by video conference. We also had many online meetings on specific topics, resulting in smooth, agile and timely operation. Even a couple where it was a topic that we needed to talk about within a couple of days and everybody just mobilised and made themselves available. This is my final year as Secretary, and I really look forward to some great candidates at next year's AGM, looking at you all. If you would like to consider this role, where you're in the thick of a fabulous organisation, feel free to give me or Gary a call. Website and records management. The website continues to be well used and is one of our key communication channels. All AGM registrations this year were processed online, facilitating smooth registration processing. In the past year, there have been 9,300 visitors to the site with 23,000 page views. The website will be modernised this coming year, so watch this space. And again, any web developers or any people that are involved in communications or graphics design and that sort of stuff, if you want to be part of that project, then again, contact me. Communications, as part of our modernisation program, we have a new logo which Gary threw up. Better reflects our name, using the steering wheel to drive into our future. We've partnered with Cumulo 9 that you heard earlier, one of our key sponsors, to aid with digital transformation program to gain efficiencies and further reduce operating overhead in time and cost. And I thank and recommend the team at Cumulo 9 for their commitment to the Federation. They've been fantastic. Whenever Chris has said jump, their team say how high. so that's fantastic. Membership for the 2002, there's a typo there, that should read 2024-2025 year. The FoMC had 150 member clubs, a net increase of 1 club from last year, representing 149,494 members and 126,872 vehicles. We gained 3 and lost 2 clubs due to dwindling numbers. We'll be automating the subscription invoicing process this year, which is going to save many hours of effort. So by the end of this month, in a couple of weeks, expect your invoices. And I expect you to pay quickly. I acknowledge that many clubs, they have to go through the committee to do the financial approvals, and some committees only meet 2 or 3 monthly. We understand that. Reminder please also to send through any changes of officers, that's President, Secretary and Treasurer especially, as this really helps with ensuring communications getting to the right people in your club. And that's our single biggest issue, is the transition of officers, and there's not an internal process to say, hey, we need to let the FoMC know. And sometimes the officers that disappear, they either just don't pass it on or whatever, so therefore it falls into a black hole and we don't know about it. So I'd like to move the acceptance of or any questions of the Secretary. Okay, I'd like to move the acceptance, and do we have a seconder? Murray, yep. Okay, just moving on to submissions report. We only had one submission this year, being the Vehicle Standards Compliant Amendment 2025, also known as 12-month WAF and COF. So you've heard the update on that. We all wait in an eager anticipation for some good news. The last 2 years have actually been very quiet on submissions, which has been quite handy because we don't actually have a submission secretary. Mark led the major effort on FoMC's submission, and of course I was sending out correspondence to all clubs encouraging them to do that. And so I'd like to move that the submissions report verbal be accepted. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Harry.
Kerry? And yep, okay, hold on.
Is the submission of military vehicles being filed? It's the one that carries with
Military vehicles, not sure about it.
Okay.
Yep, okay. Okay, I'd like to now hand over to David Raven, Treasurer, to present the Treasurer's report.
Thanks, Chris. In your pack, you should have received a 7-page copy of the financial report. So this is my 10th report as Treasurer of the New Zealand Federation of Motoring Clubs. The financial side has run smoothly, and we are working our way back to profitability. I'd like to thank the executive for their collective efforts in paying for their own transport costs for last year's AGM. We now have a couple of sponsors on board, and we welcome both them and their financial support, and we also have some other irons in the fire. And we're also looking to upgrade the financials to an approved software package such as Xero in the coming year. Chris is going to put the financials on screen, as well as the paper copy you've got in front of you. So on page 1 is on the screen we can now see this year's accounts, which have again been reviewed and approved by Louise Love. On page 1 is a statement of assets and liabilities, and as you can see we ended this year in a much better financial position than we did last year. On page 2 is a statement of income and expenditure. Now we managed to keep costs down at the AGM by returning to Wellington, which meant many of us could drive and car share, plus we asked the executive to cover their travel costs. However, Microsoft hosting fees for team meetings are increasing, as can clearly be seen, and we also have some minor survey expenses in this year's financial year. Pages 3 and 4 is the Treasurer's report, and on page 5 is the Reviewer's findings. So are there any questions from this report? Well, that's good. I'd like to move that the Treasurer's report be accepted.
All those in favour?
All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Hey David, what are the costs of Teams? I use Zoom and I've got a commercial licence, $150 a year, and have up to I don't know, well over 100 people on it, which I never do, but.
Yeah, but it's not just Teams, it's Outlook, it's email, it's SharePoint.
Okay.
Yes, it's a whole lot of Microsoft 365 services.
Yeah, I use it too, but it's interesting, it depends how much you charge, I guess, for the alternative.
One thing that is worth noting is that I actually, when we applied for the licences, did the voluntary, not-for-profit request, and we were turned down because we had to be a charitable organisation. Good news is that I heard the other day that Microsoft have relaxed those rules slightly, so I'm actually going to put in another application again. And if we're successful, the prices come down by, I think it's about 80% of normal business prices. So that's a notable point, is that if any of you do want to use electronic records management and office management, and if we're successful, we may be able to assist you with doing the same thing for your records management, because so many clubs have got their files on individual members' PCs. Something happens to that machine and it's not backed up, then it's all over.
David, could I just ask, I know subscriptions were up $8,000, 25 over 24. How did that happen?
We had a lot of overdue subs. So people didn't pay in the 2023-2024 financial year, and they paid their 2020. They paid basically 2 lots of subs in the year, and that was partly because we had a problem with Gmail. So everything was sent out, but the clubs just didn't receive it, and we didn't realise we had a problem with people receiving emails to Gmail accounts.
You know, Microsoft and Google are not good bedfellows. And so all Gmail was blocked by Microsoft. We didn't know about it because we'd sent it. We didn't get any bounce notifications. It's not until a few clubs said, hey, we're about to our subs a few months later. Yep. Anyway, all resolved.
No other questions? Then maybe you want to move then to the
Yep.
appointment of the...
I'd like to move. Well, no, we haven't moved it. Yep.
Yeah, but then the appointment of the...
Yep, the appointment of the reviewer. I've asked Louise Love if she can continue as a reviewer for this financial year, and she's accepted that role.
We need to approve that. Do we need a second for that?
Second.
So you're proposing?
I'd like to propose Louise Love be the reviewer for this coming financial year.
Name?
Peter Tibbs? Peter Tibbs?
Yep.
Any discussion? All in favour? Oh, sorry, Harry, you got your hand up?
Yeah, are we giving some sort of cohort to her for
Yes,
benefits?
yes, we do pay her. We do pay her for the review. Yep.
Thank you.
No other questions?